Welcome to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. We are in season 2. I'm your girl, Jessica Myers, the deal maker.
And this is your boy, Errol J, the new kid on the block.
How you feeling, Errol? How you feeling today?
Blessed and highly favored. How about yourself?
Oh, I stay living the dream. It's always burning the candle at multiple ends, but you got to get to it.
Yep.
Speaking of, that was my start into entrepreneurship. I was a serial entrepreneur. I was doing a lot of stuff. What even inspired you to even think about entrepreneurship?
So what personally inspired me to think of entrepreneurship in a different way? I was doing everything I could at the age of 19. I went the whole school route. I found out that wasn't for me. I went the job route. I found out that wasn't for me. Mind you, I was doing very good in each space.
Was very good?
Always in the school space, employee of the month back-to-back times in the job space, and I was only there for 6 months. I was the best employee. I was 600 employees in the building.
Wow.
Yeah, so I took what I...
At what age?
19.
How old were most of the people in the building?
More than 19.
Just greater than 19.
Listen, some of them had kids, so...
Your age.
So I'm over here showing up and showing out. They're like, God damn, why you gotta be this good at what you doing?
Yeah.
And it was phone sales, ironically, which helps me out tremendously in my entrepreneurial journeys.
Yeah.
But the big thing that really decided me to make me go a different way was because I just wanted options. I wanted more for myself, and I did not see the two paths I took at a time giving me that result in a time period I wanted. So that's why I want.
Oh, well, I you got a whole explanation why. My why is that I realized I take longer than an hour lunch. And I was like, wait, this isn't going to work if I have to be back in just... So for people I know, they have 30-minute lunch, I'm like, wow. I could barely do an hour. So I knew then, I was like, I have to do something different to control my time. Because I like to sneak and get a massage during lunch. I like going to Houston's and different restaurants. And I was like, I got to figure out. And thankfully, my jobs have always been flexible. So I've always found myself in flexible jobs. And then now getting into real estate, it was like, wait, I can own my time actually doing this? Because I got started as a wholesaler. And that's one of the things. Actually, we met...
at the same real estate, the mastermind, we'll call it, and we started real estate the same exact day.
Yes. What led you up to there? Because I know, once we met, you said, just like you were the star student in all your other arenas, I think we were the star students of the class, which is how we connected.
Exactly. So the way I got to that was I decided, because again, I was 19 at the time, I was testing things. I tested work, I tested drop shipping, I tested...
Drop shipping then?
Yeah, I was doing drop shipping.
Oh, because that was what? That was back in 2015?
Yeah, 2015, 2016. And I actually made a couple dollars off that. I tried Forex, I did network marketing. I'm talking about I went through the gambit. And then I finally honed in on real estate, specifically real estate wholesaling, and I was like, I could do that. I think that, because I'm not going to stare at a screen all day to learn Forex, and you get kind of bored, going to get drop shipping stuff, like picking up the package and mailing it out. I didn't see myself doing that on a big scale. But this real estate wholesale stuff, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I went to the first mastermind, and here we are.
Because that, like you said, it was about transferable skills.
Yep.
It was about... for me, because I was in my late 20s, but you started you quit and all that, and by 18 you had a full life career. You quit, then had a job, employee of the month, and quit by 19. But me, I was in my 20s, and I had to look for transferable skills, because I was like, okay, whatever I do, I don't know if I can, you know how it takes time. Like when we got in wholesaling, we used to meet up all the time.
Yep.
It takes time. Going through the list, going through the motions, putting in any new skills. So I was trying to find something that I could have the least amount of lag between skill and making money. And that's where wholesaling, it was like, wait. So I went to a Les Brown conference. Okay. And I went to a Les Brown conference, and they were like, hey, you want to change your life? These are the different ways you can change your life. And I'm like, well, I want to change my life. So it literally came just off a fluke. And someone mentioned about real estate, and I was like, well, I like owning my own time. I like setting my own schedule. And speaking of community impact, I was like, wow, this sounds like a skill that I can use, because I was in sales. So like you said, picking up the phone, calling, and it was just like, wait, you got to call sellers, call buyers. And you're like, well, we pick up the phone and talk to people anyway. And it is scary. That's why I'm grateful that I had someone to do it with. And that's why I was grateful, you had somebody that was in there pushing you forward, because it's scary doing a whole new venture by yourself, because all those other ventures that you named, it was pretty much solo. Yeah. But, even in getting in wholesaling, I mean, that's a huge field to enter. to have very little, experience.
And I think the biggest thing, like you said, was the community, because all the other things I had, there were people doing it, but there was no community. So I think that's really the X factor that really propelled my success and your success probably as well in that sector. So I think it was the community.
Yeah, because like you said, all things entrepreneur, because at the core of it, real estate is the undergirth. But at the core of it is entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And entrepreneurship is really how you show up for yourself. Because that's the thing. And that's the funny part. And how do you feel, just speaking to the people in our class, right, that were in our class, and because you saw clear early on at 19, it was like, they ain't gonna do nothing. I'm talking to you because me and you gonna be the only ones that continue. And sure enough, we're 8-9 years in, and sure enough, I think we can go to people's socials and Instagram and be like, you're right.
It was the mindset. I could just, because I was real big on mindset. Like, I was at home for like months at a time just listening to Les Brown, Eric Worre, Eric Thomas, Jim Rohn. I was listening to all that stuff because I had to get the stinking thinking out of my head.
Stinking thinking?
Yeah, stinking thinking.
What's stinking thinking?
Stinking thinking is going to be the number one deterrent from you being successful in any venture you do. It's what goes on between your ears right here. If you have a problem for every solution, if you're a negative Nancy, this is not going to work out. No matter what the venture is, it's not going to work out. So I had my time. Looking back on it, I didn't have as worse a stinking thinking as I know others could have had, but I didn't have the right programming for success. So I had to rewire myself, and I realized mindset was the big X factor I need to get addressed immediately, and I can do it for quote unquote free. Yeah,
because I was with somebody this weekend. We had a conference this weekend, and talk about stinking thinking. So obviously I'm on the stage speak about wholesaling. So people come up to me afterwards like, "Hey, I want to get involved in real estate." And the first thing they started is just telling me all their excuses and all the circumstances in life. And everything they said, we got this. And I was like, cool, well, you should do this. And they're like, no. But it's almost like they wanted to hold on to the problem. And I don't even know if they knew that that's what they were doing. It's like, because every solution, because being an entrepreneur really is about coming up with solutions.
Yep.
Because we deal with a lot of problems. It's home problems. All these different layers of problems.
And then when you bring people on, you gotta deal with their problems too.
That part. And their mindset.
And exactly. You gotta sometimes meet them where they're at and be able to have...
So how do you work around that? Because she was explaining to me her situation, and I'm very fortunate that I've been blessed and I have a village around me to help. Like, especially during entrepreneurship, it's not easy. Sometimes you have family that allow you to stay with them. You have family that put money in your pocket while you're going through 1 month to another. So everybody doesn't have that. Like, she was listing out, well, I got this and I got that and you didn't have to deal with that. And I'm just like, wow. But no matter what your obstacle is, I had an obstacle the obstacles that I faced are just great in my life. So how do you deal with that when someone's asking for help, but they can't separate from their story or their situation?
When someone's asking for help and they can't separate from their story, for me personally, I always know there's always a level of perspective where somebody has it worse. Like, there's always going to be someone who has a worse hand of cards that they were dealt with. So I always remember that, because that's why I'm like, oh, it's bad right now, but it could have been this. And then I sometimes portray that to people who are, again, stuck in their problems. So I'm like, hey, you might be here, but you could have been there. Like my story, I was negative $50,000 in student loan debt, credit card debt. I had a 590 credit score. I was driving a 2002 Saturn V. I was constantly on F, and F stood for faith, not full. So I had a bunch
constantly on F. that should be a shirt. Like, that should be
on F.
Constantly on F, and they have like the little speedometer, and it's like on empty, but it's like faith, because it's something so simple. It's so weird. The question or the answer to some of life's most complex situations is such a simple answer: faith, believe. Like you said, it's a lot of people that have negative 600 credit score, and it's like, what do I do? Like, they wouldn't even think or fathom about getting into entrepreneurship. Somebody messaged me this morning. They were like, hey, how do I get money? I ain't got no credit. How do you even envision, I'm going to dig my way out of this hole when you're negative 50,000, when you're negative 600, and you're just like, I'm betting on me.
It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness.
Ooh.
That's what it always boils down to. I know at the end of the day, there's some way to make something shake. And again, I don't have to have all the resources and answers. We are very big on what? OPM, other people's money. And I do rental arbitrage. What does that mean? I use OPP, other people's properties. So I'm all big about leverage and finding where the money or resources is, and then building a gap or connection for them to pour it to where I need it to go, so everybody can benefit.
So that leads us to our next segment, as far as like getting into the strategies and the tech. Like, what are some strategies that you learned about wholesaling that's helped you in business?
Some strategies I learned about wholesaling that helped me in business: building rapport. It's all about just find out why you're trying to do what you're trying to do, which in this case would be selling off property. Why are you looking to do that? And then once I figure out that reason, connect with it or build something around it. And then obviously that will lead us towards the greater promised land, which would be the sale or the closing.
The closing. The closing. Because a lot of people can start stuff, but as I say, you can't finish it.
Now I got a question for you. So I know, and again, I know this because we know each other for years on end, but I know when you start off in your entrepreneurial journey with real estate, you was working for a marketing company, correct?
Yeah, I was working for CBS. Yeah, I was working for CBS, the broadcast station.
And if I recall, you had to take the leap of faith, per se. We'll call it that. And obviously you're married, right? You took the leap of faith. But it's the way you took the leap of faith that got me to say, oh, you a bad woman. Because, again, I'm not married. I remember distinctly you telling me I took the leap of faith, I made the investment, and then I called my husband and told him, hey, I just did all this.
Oh, yeah.
How did this conversation go?
So it was crazy because, okay, so... 2014 we got married, and I was this career woman. Yes, I was this career woman, and I mean, literally since my husband know me, I worked at Fox 5. I was a journalism major. I'm marrying a reporter. I'm marrying a journalist. Cool. That's what my husband believes in his head. So all of a sudden I go to this Les Brown conference, and a year later, just after we gotten back from Africa. So we just took our first trip to Africa. Life is just amazing. We just had this, we're about to take off on faith. And then, to your point, he's like, cool. Well, for my birthday, I'm going to go down for a game. You chill out, and then I'll be right back.
He went to a football game?
Yes, in Jacksonville. So we had just gotten back from Africa. He went to a football game first year married. And I went to the course, and I felt so compelled. It's one of those things where it's like, it's $20,000, right? And then at first, when we went through the class, they compel you, you're excited about wholesaling, this new career that will change your life. And then they come up with $20,000. And then the first thing I thought was, we just spent over $10,000 on a trip to Africa. We just got married. Where's the $20,000 going to come from? But in the class, they actually showed you how to leverage. You talk about leverage. They actually showed you how to leverage and how to get access to capital. And so when I was like, wait, we can get access to capital that quickly? And it was like, yeah. So I thought, I called myself a star student. During lunch, I went to go do everything that they said do. They said do this, and this, and you'll get access to capital. And I did this, and this, and this. And I came back with access to $60,000. So it was crazy because it was like, the class is only 20. This is 60. And it was one of those things in the moment. It literally was from lunch. I got access to $60,000 very quickly. And it was like, well, what do you do? I called my husband. He's at the game. He's like, I'll call you back, baby. And so I'm like, okay, well, I need to make this grand decision. I got access to $60,000. He doesn't know that I just got access to $60,000 because I just got it. So, it's like, well, what do I do? And ultimately, before I could pull, how they tell you, we got to make now. And he was like, well, just wait. And so literally, I the next day of the conference, after having a conversation with him, and hindsight is 20/20. Because now I hear a different interpretation of how he took that call. But at the time, he was like, okay, I support you. If you found a way to make it happen, I support you. And knowing that he was perplexed, being a newly husband and not wanting to deny his wife her dreams. Because I was very passionate about it. I was very, we just made a way. And I jumped right in. And that's what I mean by I'm grateful that I had a support system. Because you didn't tell your parents for a while what you were doing. And I know for me, I had to spend $20,000 to get into the program. But too, I was supposed to split it with somebody.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it was more so a $10,000 supposedly conversation. But so that was trying to shift the responsibility. But it's still, I mean, you know, dealing with someone who thought he was marrying a businesswoman who turned entrepreneur like that just over a weekend. He was like, I just went for a football game and I came back and you switched careers and spent $20,000.
Side question: has he been to a football game since?
Yes, actually, he was at one this past weekend.
Oh, okay, because.
He's like, I can't leave you no more.
That's a trauma thing, right?
I know. You get a call like, oh yeah, I just spent $20,000. Hopefully you're okay. Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey navigating, because entrepreneurship isn't just you. Mm-hmm. Because even that decision of him supporting me, that now meant a life of supporting an entrepreneur, because I didn't even know what all, you know, I had side hustles, but it's totally different from enterprising. Just like you said, you had different ventures that you were doing before you got into real estate. Real estate has a way, and I was going to say that, of focus. And I don't know if it's because it's so big, it's so grand that you can't mess up the money like you can if you did cakes, pies, or t-shirts, the same way you can in real estate.
Pies and t-shirts.
It's a totally different entrepreneur, because, you know, those are entrepreneurs too, but it's slightly different. And that's why when they say that McDonald's is a real estate company, I never understood that for years. I was like, they sell hamburgers. I could not get over that. But when I understood the ownership class, it's damn near triple net lease. Like, damn near, like, once you get in, it's like all those ways. So I found that real estate is a process. And if you merge your business in entrepreneurship with real estate, you have a higher chance of execution of your vision because you tie to a process. And that's one of the things that wholesaling helped me to understand, is that if you tie your business to a process, you have a higher rate of success and achievement. And that's been one of the largest things that I've been able to learn. But you risk a lot too. You're up to so much. You can win so big, but you can lose even greater. And that's one of the things that your partner has to understand and be with you on that. Because I'm sure you dated in this experience. I know you're a bachelor, but I'm sure you dated. How have your significant others taken your journey in real estate and entrepreneurship?
So, shockingly enough, I made a commitment to myself early on in my entrepreneurship journeys. From like 19 to 23, I wasn't dated. I was getting money right. I was getting things lined up, because I want to know when I do step out there, I'm stable and everything's good. I don't want to bring someone in on a mess and then you're like, oh, this is a messy situation. Like, I want to enter a relationship with literally no baggage whatsoever. And so I got that right. And so by the time 23 did hit, and when I did start dating, it was, I'm not going to say, for lack of better words, it was different. It was different, because I'm 23 at a time making six figures, buying houses left and right. You know, I'm doing really good.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all know certain areas of Atlanta, they should name them Errol Town. And certain areas of Atlanta that, you know, you really took off in the wholesaling world and really dug deep. Like, that was amazing.
So thank you. So I was obviously, you know, coming off of all of this and not entering the dating space where people who are 23, they're probably just getting out of college, or they probably still living with their mom and dad. I'm over here living by myself, got a house, got this, got that. I actually ended up in the earlier stage of my 20s, I was dating up. I was dating older. I was, I wasn't too far up there now. South of 30. South of 30. That's where I was at. Because I was at just a different stage of life than my counterparts and everybody in my age group. So I was, of course, dating people in the upper age group, but the people I did date, I mean, they accepted what I did. Some, you know, didn't understand how I was doing what I'm doing, because it was like, it's not a typical corporate structure, 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. Like, you get a check for this much then you get a check for that much then. Like, where's the consistency? Where's the stability? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Like, it's coming.
But yeah, so I would say all in all, from the people I did date, I would say it was 50-50, meaning 50% understood, accepted, and was like enthralled with what I did. And some even wanted, like, how can I get involved with it? And the other 50% was like, they looked at me like as a good version of a drug dealer, where the money's good and it's coming in, but is it gonna stay coming in, and is it always gonna be there? And so
did it present challenges being an entrepreneur?
Yes, it actually did. So I would date some people if they wasn't full-blown entrepreneurs themselves, and I have all the time in the world. I can do this. We can go get a massage at 1:00 on a Monday afternoon, but they got to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And then I'm traveling to Texas to go do this, so I'm traveling to California to attend this conference, and they're watching me on social media, just like living the thing, and they're kind of like, I don't want to say build up resentment, but like they're just like, I want that to be me too.
Yeah.
How could I get that? And some conversations with some people I dated, it came out where, not like they didn't directly say it, but they was envious of what I had going on. And I was like, oh, dang, don't wait. Why am I getting badgered for making the right decisions early on in life? This isn't right. So I've learned to kind of filter out early on who I do entertain and date in a serious capacity, because there was just such a huge disconnect from me being very stable and established young on.
Yeah, because like you talk about keeping squares about your circle. To your point, like dating as an entrepreneur and with someone that's not of the same vein and someone that doesn't have the same mindset, it's like you're looking at me like, how can I get to that? And jealous, and it's like, literally, we can have a partnership. That's one of the things that this game has been interesting. The people that you partner with.
Yes.
From relationship-wise to getting you emotional stability. Because I'm not going to lie, you know, I'm so grateful. Me and my husband have been together for 17 years. Really since, I think I'm now at the age, one more year, where I would have been with him longer than I've been alive. One more year, I would have been with him longer than I've been alive. And I'm grateful because, and we've grown together. Because the person he met, obviously, when he met me at 17, 18, or I was 18, when he met me at 18, and I was actually heading to a conference then in media, that's totally different from, I mean, even though I'm still heading to, I was at a conference this weekend, but, and I am in media, but it's just interesting how that has all evolved and changed and looks so different. But if you didn't have a partner, somebody that's with you that's evolving at the same rate of speed, if not greater, that's where you can get behind in the vision, and that's why I feel for, you know, people that may not have that partner in their life that provides that stability, because that can get you off your rocker. Like I was talking to a friend, another friend that was dealing with emotional instability in their situation, and I was like, one, we only get to talk but every so often, every like slither of time here and there, and this person that you don't care about supposedly is taking up the little bit of time that we have because you're talking about and complaining about them. But then how much time is it taking up in your other life when we're talking about there's stuff that you need to be getting done as an entrepreneur? But now you're worried about, you know, someone else that supposedly you don't even care about. And that's taking up a lot of your time. And that's one of the things you helped me with early on too, with the person that, you know, we don't even have to go into that because they may be watching. But you helped me into that. You was like, you need to cut that relationship off very quickly. And I was always, you know, I was like, this 20-year-old kid telling me one of my lifelong friends should be cut off. But I see now where, and you said that immediately, because when someone is distracted by low vibe, you know how they said the low vibe plate or the low vibrational plate?
Oh man, yeah, I know exactly where you get that from.
If you get low vibrational conversation, you can get messed up and miss what you're supposed to be up to and doing, especially if people aren't growing at the same rate that you are.
Yeah, so I know we could talk about, because we got to stay on track.
Yes.
Here. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room that I know is going to come out. We went from the A team to now, you know, we are a 2-man squad now. So let's talk about that process and just how did that happen real quickly. You want to share or start?
I'll let you take it over.
Okay, so long story short, again, love everybody on the team. No, let's not even start mincing rumors. Love the rest of the crew like brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So we just realized earlier on, again, we got season knocked out, but it's just when you have 6 high operating people, and I mean high producing, high achieving individuals in their respective spaces and just scheduling and putting everything together. It can, like, one person's in Dubai and then the other four are like ready to go, and then there's one person over here that's doing a big project in the Cayman Islands. It's just like it's very strenuous to get everybody in one space all together.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're all superstars.
Yes.
All superstars, all doing a lot in our own vein. And, you know, I feel like it's so crazy. It's like how it started is how it ends. Mm-hmm. You know, it started out with us starting our career together, and then now here we are. You know, we have a lot of great synergy in our stories, and I definitely feel like that leads for a greater impact of the conversations we get to have. So I'm excited, you know, to continue the journey and see what continues to unfold. Because the thing about entrepreneurship, it feels like exploration.
Yep.
It feels like a new discovery. And so we get to discover new parts of ourselves and our audience, and, you know, what we get to call ourselves as entrepreneurs.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about the journey, and to your point, they're all superstars, and I very much wish them well. They may even make their appearance and be on the show.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Open invitation. We ain't ain't no bad blood.
Yeah.
And again, it was just life and business and entrepreneurship. What we all come to figure out is a giant feedback loop.
Exactly.
You do something, you see what happens, you make an adjustment.
Exactly.
Do something again, see how that happens, make the adjustment.
Yeah.
And we're just making the adjustments.
Yes.
That's all it is at the end of the day.
Yep. So, with that being said, as far as if we had any questions,
Okay.
one of the things that came out of some of the things that you said, how can I get that? Because it's like, for people who see you from the audience, and they're just like, how can I get that? Like you said, people come into your life and they're like, how can I get that? What would your answer be? How can I get that?
Get what specifically, just so I know what
if they're seeing you on social media, just what they see. I'm talking about, you know, I know how to ask the question because I understand the language to what you do. But if I'm just observing you from afar, and I'm like, how do I get that? And I don't know what that is. I just know you got it. I just see from what I observe.
Okay.
How do I get that?
So the biggest thing is proximity. That's what I recommend. Position yourself and being in a room with the runners, the winners. That's a big thing. I don't know all the answers. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, nor will I ever claim to be. But what I do know how to do is identify who is doing something and position myself to be next to them, rub shoulders with them, so I can get a little bit of what they get in. So if you're looking at me saying, I want to get what that guy's having, we'll figure out a way to get next to that guy.
Okay. Proximity to power.
Yes.
I learned that on House of Cards.
Really?
Proximity to power.
Okay.
Because he was talking about the order in which the picture was taken. And so you have the president, and then from there is the proximity of power. Gotcha. And so that's when I was like, that's actually really interesting, the proximity to power.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think, and let's make sure we are good.
We can wrap it up.
Okay.
You're 3 minutes from 30.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So let's wrap it up. So this has been a great conversation. What are some of the takeaways you have from today's conversation?
So the takeaways that I have, again, just like hearing the story again and just getting insights. That's what I'm big on, because I don't have a wife right now. And I couldn't even imagine me coming home to my wife when she went and had a girls' weekend and say, hey, I just spent $20K out the marriage account on this endeavor. I know you wasn't there. I know you didn't get no insights. I know you don't have the context, but I believe it's going to work. So you support me? That's a tough pill to swallow. I ain't going home with you. But
I know. I was like, imagine if your wife asked you that.
But you know, girlfriend. But it's okay again. So because he was a support system. He was there and able to help you flourish, and did not come with resentment, and just came with, hey, assess it and make it go. So one thing is just, you know, the people you partner with. That's one thing I'm learning every single day. I'm always filtering out my circle and just seeing what things I can do, and when I see how people respond to those things, decide if I want to keep going with these people in my life. So
I will say one of the main things has been this episode is revisiting the beginning, because one of the things that history shows you is patterns, and you're able to go back and see where we are now versus where we started, because especially when you don't know or you have no idea what's coming around the corner, you're making decisions based off your instinct. And a lot of times when we go back and revisit the beginning, it lets me know that I'm glad I trusted my instinct. I'm glad we made the decisions that we made, good, bad, or indifferent at the time. But I love how it's flourished and turned out right now, and has us still as all things entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. It's been your girl, Jessica Myers. I am the deal maker.
And it's your boy, Errol J. Allen, new kid.
Stay tuned for more. And be sure to subscribe so that you can visit all of our content right down below. You know you got it. Let's get it.
Let's
go.